नमस्कार। श्री रामकृष्ण कथामृत तव कथामृतं तप्त जीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदादतं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः। श्री रामकृष्ण कथामृतो प्रथम भाग षष्ठ खंडो द्वितीय परिच्छेद. The second chapter of the sixth section of the first volume of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna in Bengali. While completing our reading of the first chapter, we read about Sri Ramakrishna telling us about his visit to Pandit Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar and how much Sri Ramakrishna loved meeting that great personality, that great human being, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, and Sri Ramakrishna very much liked the work that he was doing for the benefit of the people, all the charitable work that he was doing. And Sri Ramakrishna appreciated Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar work, saying that Ishwar Vidyasagar যে কাজ করেছে সে খুব ভালো, দয়া খুব ভালো. And Sri Ramakrishna said what the work he is doing is out of compassion, is out of kindness for all the humanity, which is very good. And then he explained to us in that concluding sentence the difference between the daya and maya. This kind of work that Vidyasagar was doing, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was doing out of compassion, out of kindness, was the work of daya. Whereas this kind of work was far superior, and there was a difference between this work and the work done out of maya, out of attachment. And then Sri Ramakrishna said that the work that one does for one's own near and dear ones, that the person loves, spouse, the children, daughter, son, brothers, sisters, nephews, nieces, parents. Now these are all normally the people, anybody in the family, they start loving. And whatever people do for these people, for the near and dear ones, for the loved ones, is out of attachment. And how compassion, how that daya, it differs from this maya, from this attachment. Thakur says, daya সর্বভূতে সমান ভালোবাসা, not the ভালোবাসা only on স্ত্রী, পুত্র, ভাই, ভগিনী, ভাইপো, ভাগ্নে, বাপ, মা. Not only that love we share, not only the love that we express or we start doing things out of that love for these near and dear ones. Daya is doing things with love for all the beings. And that is when our Holy Mother Sri Sarda Devi said that no one is a stranger, my child. The whole world is your own. Don't limit your love only to those limited few people in your life. Start loving the whole world and you will find the difference. That is how Mother, our Ma, has shown us the way of expressing our compassion, loving everyone. That's what Sri Ramakrishna says, that সর্বভূতে সমান ভালোবাসা is daya. Same intensity of love for all the beings in this universe. They are not strangers, they are your own. Love all of them with the same intensity that you love your near and dear ones out of attachment. That is compassion. That is daya. Now in this second chapter, Sri Ramakrishna is going to tell us about the Satchidananda Swarupa. What is that? Gunatraya Vyatiriktam Satchidananda Swarupaha. Sri M starts this chapter with this notation that the nature of Satchidananda, the nature of existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute, the Brahman is Gunatraya Vyatiriktam, is devoid of all the three gunas of sattva, rajas, tamas that create that result in all this entire creation getting into the mode of activity. Now, the Brahmo Gunatit, this Brahman is beyond three gunas, the three qualities of sattva, rajas, tamas. Mukhe bola jaye na. Sri Ramakrishna is going to tell us in this chapter again that we cannot, describe Brahman with our mouth by putting any words. We cannot express. It is beyond speech. It is beyond thought. It is beyond any words. Mukhe bola jaye na. That we cannot talk about Brahman. The chapter starts with Master Sri M asking a question to Sri Ramakrishna. This is in connection with the passage that we read last in the first chapter of Sri Ramakrishna explaining the difference between Daya and Maya, explaining the difference between the compassion, the kindness of feeling oneness with all. That kindness and the work we do for our beloved ones out of attachment of Maya. Now, Sri M, the master, he asks, Master, Daya o ki ekta bondhon? Now, Sri M has this question. Now, is Daya, is compassion also a bondage? What Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar is doing and what Sri Ramakrishna has praised, he is doing this great work out of Daya, and which is far superior than anything that is done with attachment, which is Maya. So now M has this doubt. Is Daya also a bondage? Daya o ki bondhon? Is compassion also a bondage? Now Sri Ramakrishna answers. Che onek durer kotha. Ramakrishna says what you are asking about compassion being a bondage is very subtle thing to discuss. Is a very subtle concept. It's far beyond our comprehension. The compassion as bondage. Daya সত্য গুণ থেকে হয়. Now Sri Ramakrishna says, why one feels like this feeling of compassion, why one gets this feeling of kindness? It is out of the sattva guna, quality of sattva. This compassion, this kindness arises in our mind. Sattva gune palon. Sri Ramakrishna is telling that an intricate, secret of how the Prakriti works because of the three gunas. Sattva alone, Rajogune Srushti, Tamogune Samhar. Now, creation, preservation, destruction is the process that this Prakriti, this the creation, this universe is undergoing. Sri Ramakrishna says that the action of preservation, the palan, is because of sattva guna, because of the quality of sattva. The creation of prakriti, creation phase itself is because of rajoguna, because rajoguna is filled with activity. Something is to be done, and with that rajoguna, with that rajas, the prakriti gets created. The creation starts with rajoguna, with rajas, and finally, in this cycle of creation, preservation, destruction, the tamoguna, the tamas, it is responsible for the destruction. Tamogune Shamhar. Sri Ramakrishna has given perfectly the three roles, that three gunas, three qualities they perform in this Prakriti. Rajogun creates, Sattvagun preserves, takes care, and Tamoguna, the tamas, it it results in ultimate destruction. Once again, this entire universe going back into that Mahakali, into Sri Ramakrishna is telling this creation is because of Sattva Rajas Guna, Sattva Rajas Tamas. Into Brahma Shvattor Rajo Tamo तीन गुणेर पार किंतु ब्रह्मो सत्य रजो तमो तीन गुणे पार. Brahman is beyond all the three gunas of sattva rajas tamas. That is, Brahman doesn't come under the gamut of creation, preservation, destruction. No, prakritir par. It is much beyond this creation. It is much beyond the nature. It is much beyond this universe. That is Brahman. যেখানে ঠিক ঠিক সেখানে গুণ পৌঁছতে পারে না. Krishna says, wherever things are all perfect, enlightened, where there is a good light, where there is no confusion, there these three gunas, the sattva, rajas, tamas, they cannot reach. সেখানে গুণ পৌঁছতে পারে না. These three gunas cannot reach that place, the place which is take, which is perfectly in order, which is enlightened. চোর যেমন ঠিক জায়গায় যেতে পারে না, হয়ে হয়ে পাছে ধরা পড়ে. Like the thieves, like the robbers, they cannot come out in open. They cannot come in the place where anybody can see them. Because if they come out in the open, they're afraid that they might get arrested. They are afraid that people will find them and, oh, these are the thieves. Catch them, hold them, beat them, put them in the jail. So, the robbers, the thieves, they will never come out in the open. Shatrojo Tamoho, Teen Guni Chor. Sri Ramakrishna is comparing these three qualities of nature, of creation, the sattva, rajas and tamas, as robbers. And these three qualities, they will never come out in the place where there is enlightenment, where there is Brahman. These three qualities are afraid that if they come out where Brahman is, people will find them out. We will find, oh, this is the trick, this is the play, this is the leela. This is where these are the three gunas which are deluding us with Maya. And the moment people come to know that these three gunas are the real culprits, they will just bind them and put them behind the bars, not to ever interfere in their lives, not to ever tempt them, not to ever bring them into this cycle of creation, preservation, destruction. And that's why gunas, they cannot remain where Brahman is. They cannot reach the place where Brahman is, where the ultimate knowledge, where the self-knowledge, where the Atma Jnana is. That is Sri Ramakrishna is telling about it. And next, একটা গল্প বলি শুনো. Now Sri Ramakrishna, in our next reading, we will read to that beautiful story Sri Ramakrishna is going to tell. Sri Ramakrishna never, makes his teachings dull and, boring. There is always an element of anecdotes. There is always an anecdote of parables in Sri Ramakrishna's teachings that we are always interested to listen from Sri Ramakrishna's mouth, the great teachings, and even the complex subject like the Brahman and its nature. The Brahman cannot be described, cannot be words. What Brahman is, that great truth Sri Ramakrishna is going to tell by means of this wonderful story that he is going to tell. Ekta Golpo Boli. That he is going to tell us in our next reading. We are going to read about that beautiful story of the thieves who are going to bind a person, and then let's see what happens. Let us listen to Sri Ramakrishna's story in our next reading. Till then, Om Namah Shri Bhagavate Ramakrishnaya. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Jai Shri Ramakrishna. Jai Thakur. Jai Ma. Jai Swamiji.